Hello and welcome to What's Your Story? We're so excited for you to be back with us today. And our guest is really a special lady you're going to enjoy. Her name is Lauren Taylor. And Lauren is a nutrition coach, corporate well-being consultant, and the founder of Lauren Ray Coaching. She's revolutionizing the conversation around workplace well-being, elevating and empowering individuals and businesses through the lens of nutrition. And I really, really believe in good nutrition because that's how I overcame cancer. So it's really a pleasure to have someone here to talk about this because it's one of my favorite subjects. She is a true visionary for a better future, and her innovative methods help people unlock their potential for increased life satisfaction and fulfillment. So, Lauren, welcome. We're so glad to have you with us today.
Hi,
I understand.
Judy.
Hi, I understand you're on the other side of the world. You're in the UK, right?
Yeah, I'm in the UK, in the east of England.
Yeah. Lauren, what got you interested in nutrition and wellness and health and all of these wonderful things?
Yeah, thanks for asking. I mean, I've been so excited to speak to you about this because I know how important diet and nutrition's been. When I've heard your story before, Judy, and it's something that I kind of, I kind of discovered the potential of it almost by accident. I was in a place with my health. I was only in my mid-20s. I was really young, and I don't know, my health was just deteriorating. I would go for like days out, and after like walking for so many hours, I couldn't walk anymore, and I was really struggling with my sleep and headaches, and I just had all this pain in all these different places in
That's
my
quite
body. And
that's really
I
quite challenging for a young person, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, at the time, I don't think I even realized how concerning it was for my age. I kind of just I put up with it for so long. I think I'd had issues with my gut for as long as I could remember. I'd had headaches. I remember going to the doctor in like school when I was like 6 or 7 because I had headaches, right? So I just, it's one of those things that had become so normal, that I just got on with it, right? And I think that's what we do, like especially when you have work and you have responsibilities, you learn to just get on with it, and it almost gets ignored.
Mhm.
But I think I ignored it for so long, that I started getting to a point where I just didn't want to get out of bed in the morning. And that was where I started to think something really needs to change here. And I'd gone to the doctor for I don't know how many times it had been at that point. And I sat in the office, talking to them, and I thought, all I want to say to you is like, please, like give me a note so that I don't have to go back to work. I just want to stay in bed. I don't know what else I can do. And in that moment, I thought, no, what's that going to achieve? Like this, you're not going to get anywhere. And I thought, I need to go and figure this out. And I remember hearing your story, Judy, of going to different doctors and getting the same answers, and eventually you met with a naturopath, and that finally gave you a different solution. And I had such a similar experience. I'd been to all of these different doctors and nothing ever answered it. And I thought, I can't find the answers on my own. I've done all these different bits of research, but I can't piece it together. And I ended up working with a very similar alternative style medical practitioner.
Mhm.
And it was very much cleanse focused, detox focused, but it's where I really started to learn about diet. And the thing that I realized was actually how much I had been impacting on the symptoms that I was having through the choices that I was making, through the choices in my food and in my drink and in my lifestyle. And that got me on this path really to really appreciating what goes into your body and how that makes you feel and how that makes you show up and what it makes you capable of achieving. And that journey, well, it's been a whole journey since then to where I am now, that's been through a whole load of different twists and turns. But that really started it really started a fire in me to create something that was going to make a difference for people and was going to help people. And yeah, that was the turning point that introduced me to nutrition.
So what inspired you to move from conventional nutrition coaching to corporate nutritional coaching and consulting? I mean, you've been working with individuals on their nutrition, but what moved you to want to go into companies and fix everybody?
Yeah. So I mean, I guess I need to backtrack on my story a little bit to kind of dive into that. So when I came into the working world, fresh out of university, I thought, yeah, I'm ready to get started. I'm going to climb the corporate ladder. This is going to be great. The reality hit me a little bit differently, I think, and what I actually experienced when I started working didn't really match up to my expectations. I was really low paid. I was really mistreated a lot of the time. Worse than that, I saw a lot of mistreatment of other people, which I really didn't like. And I think as I was going through those experiences, I kept seeing better ways of doing things, and I really had these visions of better workplaces and just better societies, almost just
Right.
places where we're better to ourselves and better to each other, and it's more supportive. I think I'd always had these little seeds of ideas in my head, but I didn't have a lot of courage. I was very shy. I never believed in myself. Oh, the opportunities I've passed up because I just didn't have that belief in myself. And I don't think that's uncommon for a 20-something-year-old. Like, you're still figuring
No.
out who you are. And, I've forgiven myself for those missed opportunities and those decisions, they lead you on a different path. But I had all these little ideas, but I wasn't the person, or I didn't believe I was the person that could make the difference. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
think a little person like me could do that. So they kind of got pushed aside for a while. And one of the big kind of breakthroughs that happened when I kind of went on this path of nutrition was that it wasn't just that I overcame those issues with my health. I really found this new side to myself where I had this confidence and I started to see a bit of a different future. And instead of just thinking about things that I wanted to achieve, I started actually acting towards them. And at that point, I thought, there's a lot to this nutrition, right? It's not just about a weight or body size, which is what I always thought of a diet as being relevant to, right? I think until that point, I'd only ever thought about what I ate in relation to needing to lose weight, needing to fit into that old pair of jeans, which I'm sure so many of us can relate to. I had actually never thought about the fact that food was my fuel, and
Yes.
food is what's going to make a difference in your mental and your physical state every single day, not just long term over time. I think when we hear a lot of the research, we think of, what happens over years of consuming excess sugar and the issues
Yeah.
that causes later in life, risks of Alzheimer's or diabetes or heart disease. But actually, no, it affects you every day.
Mhm.
How you eat in the morning is going to affect how you feel 1 hour later, 2 hours later, 3 hours later.
Your energy levels.
Exactly. And it's really underappreciated. So, I kind of had all these epiphanies, and that's what got me started as a coach. But after a little while, I absolutely love the work that I've done and the journeys you get to go on with people. I don't think I think a lot of the time, the people that you work with as a coach, they don't even expect what
No.
comes out of it. And this, in nutrition coaching, in business coaching, in all types of coaching, I think you go on such a journey together, and it's such a special experience that you come out of it and you learn things about yourself, and it sets you on different paths. And it's been an incredible experience. But there was something in the back of my head that was niggling away, really, saying, something, you're still missing something. You're still not quite setting out to do what you really want to do. And I think for about 5 or 6 months, I had these real blocks, and I was becoming really disconnected from my work. I was losing the love for it a little bit, and I couldn't figure out why.
Mm-hmm.
And then it hit me. I wasn't practicing what I was preaching. So I was saying to people, come and take this journey, learn about yourself, empower yourself, and you can be whoever you want to be. You can do whatever you want to do. And I'd done that to an extent. I'd gone out, I'd started my business, I was working with people, I was helping people like I wanted to. But actually, I had not addressed those things that I'd thought about earlier in life, those places that I could see change, and I wanted to see change in the workplace, in those corporate environments. So actually, what I'd done was run away from it.
Yes.
Instead of being there, standing there and dealing with it, I'd gone, I'm actually just going to leave this. I'm going to go jump ship, and I'm going to go start sailing my own little ship over here where I don't have to deal with the mistreatment and the bullying and the awful things that I've seen. I'm just going to remove myself from the situation. And I suddenly just had this moment where I was like, that's what I need to be doing. I need to be doing what I'm doing, but I need to be doing it in the places that really need it. And that's what brought me back into the corporate, but bringing nutrition into it.
So why is workplace well-being such a big topic right now?
So I think there's a lot of reasons that it seems to be more prevalent than it has been in years before. I mean, certainly even in the time that I've been working, I've seen such a huge shift in this. And I mean, I worked in corporate for over a decade, and I've seen workplace well-being done really, really well. And I've seen it done not so well. And it's the not so wells that obviously moved me onto this path, because I think there's so much to be gained by putting more onto this. And I think one of the things, it's such a big topic of conversation right now, is people are more conscious of their health. And I think people are more conscious of the impact that work has on their health. Often people are dealing with very long hours, shift work, poor diets, again, because, various reasons, jobs where they're on the road all the time, jobs where you're working different shift patterns, jobs where you've just got so much demand, you don't have 5 minutes to sit down and have a sandwich or a banana or anything like that. So I think people are becoming much more aware of their own well-being, which I think maybe influences people to actually take a step back from work a bit more, because they need to find that bit more balance. But I think really the demands are higher. In the workplace, potentially, I think you do see people pushing for more and more and more work, often with less people to do the work, sometimes with less resources. But I think the external pressures that people feel are also becoming more, cost of living, even just family pressures. I think it feels like there's increasing stories that I hear of caring responsibilities, or just, you know, just other things that are going on in people's lives that mean they can't give so much to work. They've got to give somewhere. And I think for workplaces, it's a really great opportunity to look at the fantastic individuals in the business and go, I really appreciate that you're managing all this stuff in your own life. You have this life outside of this space. I appreciate that you show up here every day,
Right.
and it can't be easy for you. And what a fantastic thing to be able to give something back to those people that often, you know, don't have the resources to invest in it themselves, don't have the knowledge or the understanding of what support is there and is available and is accessible. So that's, I think it's so important right now, to be in the workplace and really, I mean, we know there's an increase in mental health concerns, and physical illness as well plays a big part, I think, as our workforces are aging. It's longevity as well, you know. There's so much that goes into it that's making this such a big topic right now, I think. And I think it's something that's more important than ever.
Oh, I believe so. I believe so. So what is it about nutrition that you feel is fundamental to achieving personal fulfillment? And how does that empower and elevate us as individuals?
Yeah, I love this question. So, like I say, I think we don't often think about what we're eating actually does for us, and it's you have to take care of yourself first, right? And I don't know. Okay, think about when you go to a florist and you buy a lovely bunch of flowers, and you know you want it to last really long and look beautiful and blossom and grow, and you're not going to give it a Diet Coke and a Big Mac and expect it to bloom and last, right? You've got to give it water first of all, and then you've got to give it those special little packets of food that they send with you that allows it to bloom, and last and really become its full self, right? It's the same with you. You've got to give yourself the food that is meant for your body, the food that's natural, that we're designed to eat. It doesn't have to be complicated. It's really just about focusing on eating the food that's meant for our bodies. But I think the reason this is so important is because it allows us to it it allows us to shine, right? It allows us to be in our full selves. When you can nourish your body completely, it supports your body to do what it needs to do. So it reduces physical health issues, it reduces mental health issues, and it's really about giving yourself the best chance, I think. And nutrition, I think, is the most important because we eat every day, right?
Yes.
We're already doing it every day. So if you're going to change one thing, make some small changes that allow you to feel better. Something you're already doing, just take what you're doing and make it slightly better. And it seems simple when you think of it like that, something you're already doing.
Yes. Yes.
It's not so daunting.
Right. It's, when I first spoke with the naturopathic doctor about diet to overcome my cancer, he had me do a lot of changes. Of course, I needed to do them rapidly because I was not well. But there were little things like he said, don't eat red meat. But then he said, well, you can eat red meat if you eat it at the right amount and the right time. He said, if you're eating red meat three times a day, that's not good. But, in moderation, you can have about the size of the palm of your hand, a piece of steak, and have that once a week or twice a month, that would be fine. And I was eating a lot of hot dogs, and he said, you can have a hot dog on the 4th of July or on Labor Day, but don't eat them every day for breakfast. And it was the same thing with milk products, with dairy products. It was like, you can have it now and then, but don't eat it all the time. And I think that's one of the problems with the obesity we have in America, in the United States, because we have a tendency to eat the things we really like a lot, like ice cream is a biggie. And so consequently, we have it like every meal as a dessert, or we have it instead of a meal, or we have it in the afternoon to cool off when it's hot outside. It's not like a once in a while treat. But when we were growing up, we had in school this pyramid that they showed us about how much to eat and what to eat. And I found out later that that was based on what the dairy farmers needed to sell and what the groceries needed to sell. And so consequently, it wasn't really designed for our health. And when going through this cancer, I had to really totally relook at all of those foods and what was in them, because even like vegetables that grow underground, those are sugar based. And if cancer feeds sugar, you don't want to eat those. So, I mean, when you're coaching your clients, are you talking to them like this about these individual foods and what they can eat and how it's going to make them healthier, or how they can have it on a limited basis or something like that?
Yeah. The thing that I love about the way that I work is I try to make it really individualized. Everyone's at different places. Like you say, Judy, you were doing everything you could as quickly as you could. For some people, then they're not able to implement all the changes right away. So you work with the bits that you can work, but it's really about, limiting things. I mean, I guess the thing you said there is like, in America, I think it's very much the same here. People are eating these things every day, and it's the norm. And I think it's no fault of anyone's, because it's what we're led to believe is the norm. I think sugar is a really big one, and it's something that I always address, particularly when we're talking about energy and feeling good and feeling your best on a day-to-day basis, because sugar's going to make you like this all day
Mhm.
long as soon as you have it. And from a longevity point, from a health prevention point, then that's something that we try to cut back right away. But we do it gradually, well, that said, as I say, it's I work with the individual. I work with you. So even when I work within businesses, I'm working with the employees as individuals, because the thing that I've experienced is you get the most out of it, and you don't have people coming back and needing to go through it again if you can work together and make it work for them.
Yes,
And
yes.
sometimes it's a really gradual process. Sometimes I've worked with people, and in the first session, they're like, I'm just getting rid of it all. I just need you to hold me accountable, and that's it. But we look at optimizing the diet. That's what I always say. It's about optimizing it. So take what you're already doing. You're already probably having breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then looking at how you can make changes to make that better. So what can we take out? What can we add in a lot of the time? A lot of the time, it's things that need to be added in, because the clients that I work with aren't getting the variety to ensure they're getting all the nutrients that they need, or getting the variety that supports their gut health and various things like that. So sometimes I have to increase people's calories, because there's so much confusion about what we should be doing. People are eating so little,
Mhm. Mhm.
they're exhausted because they have nothing to feed their
Right,
energy.
right,
So it's really personalized and it's really different for everyone. But my my main kind of ethos is about eating natural foods that grow, you know, proteins. I personally, I don't eat meat. I do eat some fish, and that's just a choice. That's not what I necessarily believe for health or anything like that. So I work with clients that eat meat as well. Um, so yeah, it's I guess there's a lot of debate about whether we call it real food and what's real food and all food's food and is it food, but what I would call real food, non-processed food.
right,
Um,
right. So
that's that's the
not
priority.
packaged food has got a lot of con
Yeah, yeah,
preservatives and things, yeah.
yeah.
So
So
real when we say real food, we're talking about real food that really grows on trees and in the ground.
exactly. Yeah, you've got it, Judy. That's it.
Yeah, yeah. I had a hard time with giving up the sugar because I like cookies and cakes and things, but my assistant found a recipe to make me some cookies that didn't have sugar, and she used monk fruit, and that worked well for me. Would you suggest monk fruit? Sugar is better than regular sugar?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing the thing with sugar is sugar. There's going to be better ways of eating it. So, for example, if you are eating it as part of a fruit, the the fiber that you're eating alongside that sugar is going to impact the way you process it, the way you digest it. So, that's got an impact on those peaks that I said, those energy dips. Um, and there's obviously additional benefits from that fiber. So, that feeds your gut microbiome, and then that we won't get well, we can get into that if you want, but that has a whole host of benefits that support, functions in your body. But so eating sugar within the fruit is going to be better than eating refined, I
Refined sugar
guess we
and
call it
cookies.
table sugar. I don't know if you have the same name for it, but the white sugar that you scoop up with a teaspoon and put in your coffee, potentially. Again, I don't know how you drink coffee. Don't know how you drink coffee. I know you have creamer and different things. So,
Yeah.
but the first thing I would say is if we're talking about sugar, the first thing is looking at foods that you are adding sugar to. So, ice cream, for example, any kind of sweets, any kind of
Cookies,
desserts, really, cookies. Yeah. You know,
pie.
that doesn't just come with sugar in it. You add sugar to it. So
Yeah.
they're the
So
foods that,
so eating fruit is a really good way to eat our sugar because it's healthy.
yeah,
That's what I'm hearing you say. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
See,
absolutely.
I never liked fruit. I never ate it growing up. I didn't like it. So when he said you can have fruit, I was like, yeah, I don't want to
Yeah.
eat. But now that I started, and at the end of the meal, if I have an orange or a tangerine or something, I really like it. It's
Yeah.
really good. It just takes changing the mindset, I think.
I think it's a really interesting thing you've said there because I was exactly the same. I even up till recently, like it's still something I work on. I have like a few fruits that I'm not keen on, but I've really started introducing it a lot more. Like I have like scrambled eggs for breakfast with a fruit salad on the side, for example. But I think this thing that you say about not liking it, but it is a mindset. It's a mindset thing, but also I think we are so used to sugar in the sense of ice creams, cookies, candies. Um, when we eat other foods, perhaps fruit, we think, oh, this doesn't taste very nice. It doesn't taste as good as that. But it's almost what we've like attuned ourselves to taste.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
once we start reducing that, dark chocolate for me is a great example. I used to force myself to eat dark chocolate, because if you eat a high percentage of cacao dark chocolate, that's much better than milk chocolates or, other candies again. I'm saying candy now because I'm on an American show, but I would say sweets.
Yeah.
So I'd force myself to eat dark chocolate, which doesn't sound like a great relationship with food, but at the time I felt like I was doing the right thing. This was before the journey that I'm on now. But the more I ate it, I was like, oh, actually, this is quite nice. This actually tastes like chocolate. This is actually what chocolate should taste like. And now I would much rather eat that over, the ones that have loads of additives and sugars and all these different things. The ones that are just pure cacao, and it's you almost train yourself. Like I think your taste changes when you start to make these changes, and as you start to reduce sugar, you do get a different taste for things. So I think that's really important to know, actually, for people that are thinking about changing their diet, because it can be really daunting. And I know food has a lot of emotion attached to it. It's, there's lots of foods you can have aversions to. There's lots of foods that you can have, I don't know if it's the right word to use, but you might feel that you're addicted to. It's something I hear all the time. I'm just so addicted to this, I can't give it up. Well, you can give it up, and that's where the mindset thing is, isn't it, Judy?
Yes.
It's what you believe you can do. But yeah, it's.
Well, I'm addicted to food, period. I mean,
Yeah.
somebody says food, I'm the first one there. So I really have to be aware of it, because I mean, aware of what I'm putting in my body, because I could just eat anything and everything. I'm like a cow. I can just mow through the whole grocery store of everything. But when I got cancer, then I really became aware of the importance of what I put in my body. And I've tried to maintain that ever since, to stay on that program. When somebody looks at you and says, you're probably going to die if you don't make these changes, then you're like, whoa, I have to think about that. But my doctor told me that a lot of people, even when he tells them to make the changes, that they won't do it. He says they just want me to give them a pill and make them better. He said they will not make the change. And I just felt like, well, maybe they didn't want to live as badly as I did, because I wanted to live. So if that's what it took, that's what it took. But now, see, I'm at another point in life now to where I'm a little overweight, and I think I better be losing that weight. But it's not a matter of life and death. So then I kind of cheat every now and then. But if I get my head right and say, wait a minute, this could be life and death. This could be that I have a better life, or I have the death of this great life just because I'm shoving food in my face. Well, then maybe I better pay attention. But this is a subject that we could talk about forever.
I mean, don't get me started, because you're going into like a whole thing now that's so important to me, which is that I think we've all been misled. We think that there's a magic pill. We think that medication's the solution, and actually, food and our lifestyle. You've talked about lifestyle as well. It's the first thing we should be going to, and whether you are using it to address a serious health concern, or you just want to feel good every day, like, your diet and your lifestyle is the first thing that you should look at. Yeah.
I definitely think so. So you spoke about this at the Women Thrive conference recently. We were on that program together.
Yeah.
You were amazing. And I think it's a topic that so many people are interested in, that even if we know we're going to eat packaged food and cookies, we'll still say we're really interested in how to be better and how to be healthier, and we are interested in it, and we mean to be interested in it. It's a big topic, but sometimes we just cheat, huh?
Yeah, and I mean, I'm gonna hold my hands up right now. Like, I'm by no means perfect. Like, I am not eating just eggs and fruit every day. In fact, I've just been over in the States. I was in Orlando, Florida last week, and I had some cocktails. I was on holiday. I had some desserts. I definitely eat very differently when I'm on holiday now to maybe 5, 6 years ago, where I again I just didn't have the awareness, right? So anything did go. Whereas now I'll have a little bit of that, but I'll also think about what does my body need, and I'll make sure I have that first. So we had a villa, for example. I'm gonna share this because I think it's useful for people to see ways that they can shift towards a healthier lifestyle without giving everything up, because I think
Yes,
that's the thing that people think, it's like all or nothing, and that's so scary. It doesn't have to be like that. Now, we were in a villa, so in the morning we were making breakfast. There was a big group of us, so everyone was having all kinds of different foods, and I prioritized the things that I knew were going to make me feel good. So I prioritized having protein. So I have my eggs every day, like I do at home. I had some cheese with it, because I like cheese, and everyone was having some cheese. So I had some cheese with it. I wouldn't usually have that, but it was a one-off, okay? And it's I was having fruit and stuff like I do normally alongside that. So it was just adding these things in. And then when we were going out for dinner and stuff in the evening, again, I was having what I wanted, but I was choosing to have a side of vegetables on it, or I was choosing just to have a glass of water instead of a soft drink or something like that I knew it wasn't going to be any good for my health or my longevity. So it's about doing these little things that can give you that balance.
right.
It doesn't have to be all or nothing.
Yes, yes. Yes. I mean, we can have a soda once in a while. It's just when we have 15 big gulps in one day that it's really bad.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah, I learned so much when I had that health challenge. When somebody tells you you're going to die, you figure out real quick, what you're going to do not to do
Yeah,
that. And
yeah.
and I think what you do is so important, to be a nutrition coach, to help people learn what they can do to make their own life better and to sustain their life, to have good health for a longer period of time is so important. I was teaching my art class this week, and one of my students said, "Oh, yes." And it was a brand new art class, all new students that I haven't had before. And one of my students said, "Oh, yes," something about when we were at Judy's 80th birthday party, and everybody in the room turned around and looked at me and they went, "What? Are you 80 years old?" And I said, "Yes." And they were like, "We don't believe that." These are kids like in their 20s, they're looking at me like, "How do you live like you have and look like you look at 80 years old?" They were in such shock. They thought I should be, old and gray and decrepit and and
Yeah.
sickly. And they were like, "Wow," and I said, "Look, it's all about nutrition and what you do and about your lifestyle. Do you have exercise? Do you rest? Do you do things like this? Because the painting is like meditation. And so we
Mhm.
ended up having a whole big discussion about food and meditation in art class, right? But I think younger people, especially when they see older people who aren't well, or they see the contrast to that, they're like, "Wow, well, what's the difference? I want to be sure that when I get that age, I'm still well." And I
Mhm.
think they're more aware of it today than they were when I was a younger person.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. I think I look at like the generation below me and I see such a difference. I mean, definitely in eating habits, drinking habits as well. In the UK, we have quite a big drinking culture. Everyone's aware of. It's not something we're proud of. But for me, growing up, I started drinking alcohol much younger than I should have done. But that was not that was the norm. And
Yeah.
I think that fed into my adulthood, and I think it fed into a lot of my health issues as well. But I see my siblings. I have younger siblings, and they just don't have that attachment to drink. I mean, I don't drink as much as I used to. Like I say, I might have a cocktail on holiday, and I enjoy a glass of wine now and again, but it used to be a glass of wine or two every night, and then
Mhm.
several glasses of wine, if not several bottles at the weekend.
Yeah, because
Um,
you were doing social things and you sit around in a social group and everybody drinks wine, right?
yeah, and it's interesting to see, because yeah, I mean, it's the norm, right? So it's hard to break away from that. And it's nice to be able to enjoy that as well with your friends and in those social situations. But when you understand the impact that that has on your body, it's really important to start making those changes. And as I say, I see it with my younger siblings. They just don't have that attachment to alcohol and things like that I see with my generation.
Right.
I couldn't get together, I don't think, with any of my friends without there being alcohol. There's always alcohol. And I don't think people understand how damaging that level of that consumption can be. Again, especially to the everyday. I talked about this in my talk, actually, at the summit. It's a perfect example of how what we consume affects us. Because you have a
Mhm.
few glasses of wine or beers or whatever it is you like to drink, the next day you don't feel so good. You don't feel as bubbly and as fresh and as lively as you might have done. That's that's the impact. If you can see it that quickly, imagine what that's doing to you over time. If that's
Oh,
just
yeah.
what happens overnight, what's happening day by day by day. And the same thing with food. It's just not as noticeable because it doesn't give us those same symptoms straight away. But when you start paying attention, you will see the difference. If you have a heavy meal the night before, or if you have a load of sugar the night before, if you start paying attention, you'll see that you have these same dips of energy the next day. You'll see how much it's affecting you.
Mhm.
I feel like I've gone off on a bit of a tangent. Bit of a tangent there.
Well, I think I led you off on it. I'm sorry. I want to keep people focused on the fact that what you do is coach us. But you know what? You just gave a little coaching example, which was perfect. Yeah, we all got a little example of what we should and shouldn't do, and I like that. It's really good. Is there something that I haven't asked you that you think we should tell the listeners, the viewers, about nutrition or about you?
Yeah, what a lovely question. I think, and I've said it already today, but I think nutrition is really underestimated. And I think it's something we really need to be looking at going forward as as a fundamental. I think we are not helping ourselves in any aspect of our lives by not prioritizing or optimizing our nutrition. I think that by focusing on this, and this is again what's shifted me towards the corporate work that I do when working with businesses, because I think it's such an important tool to elevate and empower people. And this is why I think it's so fundamental in the workplace, because you can change the whole dynamic of your team.
Mhm,
If you can
mhm,
shift someone's mindset, if you can change someone's or improve someone's physical health,
mhm,
that is going to change the whole dynamic of your workplace. It's going to increase your productivity. It's going to increase your profit. It's going to reduce the cost that you lose to absence and low performance and just disengagement and things like that. And this is why it's so important, and not just in the workplace, but for all of us as individuals. We all have responsibility for ourselves, and we have to we have to own that. And we can show up the best for ourselves, for our families, for our partners, for our friends, for our businesses, for our colleagues, when we put ourselves first sometimes and really take care of ourselves and nourish ourselves. And I think it's something that really needs to stop being underestimated and start being a priority.
Oh, you are so right. I just so agree with you. That is so right. Um, we have on the bottom of the screen how people can get in touch with you. Would you like to tell them any other way they can get in touch with you? Would you like to repeat what it says at the bottom of the screen? What would you like to do to let people know how to get in touch with you if they would like to have your services in some way?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Yeah, so I can see you've got my email address and my website listed on there. So yeah, both, well, website particularly, great way to check out kind of a bit more about me, how I got onto this journey, and get in touch through the website. Alternatively, if you want to connect with me more directly, get to know a little bit more about what I do, learn more about this, the best places to find me on LinkedIn, which is Lauren Taylor on there. But yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Lauren, thank you so much for being here with us today. I've learned a lot. I've thoroughly enjoyed having you here, and I'm sure that my viewers have learned a lot and have experienced wonderful opportunity to listen to you and to get to know more about you and more about nutrition. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been, great to talk with you about this. And yeah, thanks again.
And thank you for being here with us today. I love our guests. I hope you love them as much as I do. We learn so much. Today it was about nutrition. Tomorrow it'll be about something else, maybe coaching teenagers. So it could be anything, but join us again very, very soon because we love having you with us. And if you have a story that you would like to share, well, just get in touch with me, Judy Mario, at WWDBTV Las Vegas.